Coming up on District Wire News, President Trump unveils a long-awaited infrastructure plan. He wants $1.5 trillion in spending. So how would it affect D.C. roads and bridges?
Then Black History Month continues. A local house-turned-museum honoring the father of Black History Month is now open to the public. District Wire News starts right now.
Good afternoon, I'm Ashley Briggs.
And I'm Bobby Thomas.
The White House released a tax plan today that calls for major cuts to key social programs. Under the plan, the budget deficit stays in place for 10 years amid $1.5 trillion tax cuts and large spending increases. Major cuts will be applied to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and other similar programs. But with higher spending on other programs and lost tax revenue, balance is highly unlikely for the budget.
Defense contractor General Dynamics is buying internet technology company CSRA for nearly $7 billion. This comes after President Trump signed a budget bill Friday, providing $700 billion to the Pentagon. Shares of the IT company skyrocketed more than 31% before the announcement today. The deal is set to close in the first half of this year.
Just 2 days after closing 3 of 14 Baltimore Metro stops, the Maryland Transit Administration announced it will be closing the entire Metro line for a month. District Wire News' Takira Boston reports.
It's going to be a messy morning commute for many Baltimore residents due to the closing of the entire Metro subway link system. The single-line rail system has 14 stations that carries more than 40,000 riders on a typical weekday.
It's affecting it terribly. I mean, I was supposed to go to work today. I just found out literally today that it was shut down, and found out from somebody that it shut down till March, I think. And I mean, that's my normal route. You know what I'm saying? It ain't too many options to get to work on time, so the road is everywhere.
The Maryland Transit Administration, or MTA, announced just a day ago that the Metro system will be closed for emergency repairs.
I just got here and found out when it didn't come after 2 buses supposed to come. That's when I found out. The lady said it'd be here in 20 minutes. It's been almost an hour again. It's unprofessional. It's very unprofessional. Just because the subway is broken down, why we had to be inconvenienced.
The repairs were not scheduled to begin until the summer, but according to MTA CEO Kevin Quinn, the track needed to be replaced a lot sooner.
I'm much rather than broken it up. It should have broken up where everybody wouldn't be inconvenienced.
Governor Larry Hogan has announced that he has set aside $2.2 million in emergency funding. The funds will go to run free coach buses for passengers along the subway route, according to the MTA. But some residents are already growing impatient with the wait.
91 just came through here. He said he was not in service. Then the lady came out and she said, oh, we know that you guys have been waiting for over an hour. She said, I talked to the MTA supervisor and the bus will be here in 15 to 20 minutes. That was 35 minutes ago. And all they're doing is just lying.
Free shuttle buses, or bus bridge, the MTA is calling it, will run from 5 a.m. until midnight on weekdays and 6 a.m. until midnight on weekdays.
They could have planned this a lot better, and I don't feel that there should be buses that are running through a major...
Maintenance to the track is expected to keep the Metro rail system closed for a month. Takira Boston, Baltimore.
Uber and Lyft have another competitor who's changing how ride-sharing will be used in the district. This week, ride-sharing company Via expanded service to cover 24 hours and added more neighborhoods to its radar. Previously, customers could ride only during rush hours in suburban areas of D.C. The expansion poses a big threat to local taxi drivers who previously dominated certain areas. The district's nearly 5,000 cabs are already outnumbered by ride-sharing drivers 2 to 1, according to the D.C. Taxi Operators Association.
Oh, big time impact. We are out of business. We're dying hard, slow by slow. But you know, still, we're struggle to survive.
Now, Via operates from Cathedral Heights to American Tinleytown, parts of the Southwest Waterfront, and Petworth.
Two Baltimore detectives are on trial after pleading guilty to corruption charges. The former detectives testified that the unit broke into homes, sold narcotics, stole cash, and lied under oath to cover everything up. The two detectives are on trial, face life in prison if convicted.
America's infrastructure scores a D+ on that infrastructure report card. Congested and crumbling roads call for significant repairs. The lack of funding will come to an end as President Trump's new federal budget releases today. Japera Ellison reports.
America's aging infrastructure will cost trillions of dollars. We're taking a closer look at the nation's capitals. Just last year, the infrastructure report stated that 95% of the roads are in poor condition, causing drivers to pay thousands per year. This counts for the rails, the roadways, transit, and the bridges. Metro Rider Saeed Jaquel says transit needs to do a better job with maintenance.
As far as I'm concerned, that all the rail tracks are a little bit older. I think they should restore all the lines and proper maintenance in weekly schedule basis.
DMV commuter Tia Prasad says the crumbling roads put drivers at risk.
I know that there are certain places on the road where I have to scoot a little bit just to avoid weird lumps in the concrete or potholes or places where I know my car is going to get damaged.
But that's not all. She says it slows down the commute too.
There's usually construction going on in the mornings, and then everyone has to slow down, go into one lane, try to make sure they're not hitting the workers, and then the traffic just slows to a snail's pace.
Today, President Trump announced that he's created the biggest and boldest infrastructure investment in America.
The framework will generate an unprecedented $1.5 to $1.7 trillion investment.
Para Ellison, Washington.
The National Portrait Gallery reveals its official portraits of former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama earlier today. A Baltimore-based artist, Amy Sherrill, painted Michelle Obama's portrait, and an artist known for African-American paintings, Kayinde Wiley, painted Barack Obama's portrait. The gallery holds a complete collection of presidential portraits.
Good news today for district residents. D.C. is the fittest city in the U.S. for the third year in a row. The American Fitness Index published its 2017 survey, but this isn't the first time the district scored high rankings. It's topped the charts for years. Possible reasons include heightened awareness of health hazards and access to parks and other outdoor hotspots.
The home of an African-American researcher is now open to the public in honor of Black History Month. The home of Carter G. Woodson offices and site of his publishing company, Associated Publishers. The home will now be open to the public on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Coming up after the break, a new route from Baltimore to D.C., plans for a new high-speed train, a full report after the break.
And pressures mounts on South African president to step down. Negotiation over President Jacob Zuma continues to stay with us.